Calvin. I'm Calvin. He's Garland. And today we will be discussing season 4, episode 7 of The Shy Black Messiah. Hey, Garland, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Bro, it's been a week, man. It's been a week and all, and I'll say some words at the end of the broadcast today. But I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. It's good to be alive.
That's good, man. Hey, man, this is a little update. Usually, when I jump on, it just jumps me on. This actually gave me a little countdown. It's 3, 2, 1, and I was like, wait a minute, I can start talking
Oh,
now.
sugar
So
snacks.
we
Oh,
took off last week because of the Shy wasn't showing, of course, and it
of
was the
course.
4th of July holiday. Now, I'm thinking you can't celebrate Juneteenth and celebrate the 4th of July, so I'm going to gladly take the day off, but I'm not flying no flags or anything. And I see people popping fireworks, but they've been popping fireworks all year long, and they still popping fireworks. So it's just
Right.
what, man.
Just what it is. Happy Fourth to everybody who celebrated that. And it's just, it's just now we in the midst of summer, man. It's getting hot, so vacation coming up real soon. So I'm just looking forward to just chilling.
Yeah, man, me too. We got our anniversary coming in a couple months, so we're gonna go away for that. But you know what?
Okay.
This show was packed. I don't know if it was packed the right way, packed the right, but it was packed. So you know what? Why don't we get started and jump on into this and talk to the people about what's going on? And don't forget, you all can definitely comment, and when you comment, it will show up on the screen. If you do comment and it'll say Facebook user for most of you that are on Facebook, but you have to give Facebook permission to show your name. So I put the link in our group that you can use. So if you see that, you can use that. I'll do it again one day, and then you can have your name show up and all that stuff. What are you gonna
Oh
say?
yeah, I want to apologize to the people for a couple weeks ago. The last broadcast, I was eating during the broadcast. I was hungry, y'all. I just had like an emergency type day, and so I was a little hungry, and I was having a couple little snacks, and didn't realize that everybody could see me eating. And so I want to apologize to those. But whoever wants to give us an endorsement deal, I was eating some Twizzlers. And so, if you want to endorse us, we'll take it.
You were doing you were doing a little more than a little eating. You was just in there smacking. You was just kind of like shaking it up. Just then wouldn't stop. You was chewing. I thought when you swallowed, then you wouldn't stop. You just kept going. You was just like, let me get another hit of this. Let me.
That sugar felt good to me. That sugar
Hey,
felt
here's the
real good.
if you want to copy and paste this link, I just put it in the chat real quick. You can use that link, and if you use that link and do what it says, it'll show your name instead of saying Facebook users for everyone that's watching on Facebook. So anyway, let's get
All
started,
right, let's
Garland.
get
Here we
into
go.
it. Let's get into it. All right, the man not only has a city to run, he's still recovering from a gunshot wound. And even so, he still found time to rid Chicago of at least one trap house. But also, we see the limits of Triggs' efforts as a mediator. Meanwhile, Jada takes a long look in the mirror before shaving her head rather than watch her hair fall out because of chemo treatments. Jake asks Gemma to the spring fling. Tiff and Emmett attend a sex party, and Nina, racked with guilt, confesses her infidelity to Dre. And so let's get into it. We got a lot. Just like it does in the land of Shy, it's like 20 things going on instead of just maybe two or three, and you really got to have a scorecard to keep up. But, such is life. So, it is Lena Waithe, and that's what we do. And so let's talk about Keisha. And Keisha got her baby back. Now, Keisha, she got her infant son back by the episode end. She had decided, last episode, she had decided to name, well, excuse me, by this episode, excuse me, she had decided to name him after her savior. And all around, oh my God, he's going to make a special appearance right now for Tanitra. Ronnie. She named the baby Ronnie after a revelation at night. Grandma, I got a baby named after me, Grandma. It's the girl I saved The kidnapper, Grandma. Yeah, the girl say was the kidnapper before they shot me in my head, before you died. Well, after you died, and then before they shot me in my head in the alley for nothing. Uh, uh, as a girl I saved, and they named the baby after me. All right, so Ronnie got a baby named after him, who hasn't been mentioned much since his execution at the end of last season. Poor Ronnie. We weren't treating to any custody drama between Keisha and Octavia, but Keisha did have another panic attack, which implies some of the challenges that she will face going forward with the child. And so, Calvin, I still don't know what to make of this particular story arc, but how Keisha got her baby back seems to be skimmed over. I mean, what do you make of this, man?
Yeah, man, we've been asking for weeks. Is there a contract? Is there an official adoption, or is it just a handshake, word of mouth? Or I mean, I don't know what's going
Right.
on. Keisha just want the baby back, and clearly Keisha just took the baby back. Like there seems to be maybe there's going to be a fight later on in the season. I mean, we only got 3 episodes left, but there was no
Right.
fight, and I thought Octavia loved this baby. I mean, she's so busy cussing Wendy Williams out in the biblical way that maybe she, gonna get Keisha. And I hope you find somebody that loves you like your baby used to love me. Maybe she's gonna say that to Keisha. I have no idea. And you know, first of all, Keisha's mother is no help. We all know this. She's just like, have you thought about the
Man.
consequences of him looking like your rapist? Like, God damn, mom, we know this. We know this. But with all that said, this is what I want to talk about. And y'all saw the way Keisha was side eyeing us when I put the little advertisement up for this. Keisha, Ronnie, Ronnie. Garland has said the whole time that Ronnie is coming back. Garland, who knew that Garland would be right that Ronnie was coming back in the form of Keisha's baby? So we got Ronnie. I literally cannot believe that Ronnie is back. Just,
When she looked down at the baby, this is what she saw. She saw Ronnie's face. Mama, I love you, Mama. Mama, I love you. That's what she saw.
this,
Yeah, Calvin, this is just. Yeah, what did they do? They did a pinky square. A pinky square. They did it like that on the baby. Well, like, hey, look, let's do it like this. And if I want the baby back, yeah, man. And it's because the shot doesn't give us any timeline. Like, I don't know if this happened yesterday, the day before. Like, did she send the baby to Octavia, and then next week she came back and got the baby? Is this 3 months later?
exactly.
What
Did she
the?
did she just give her the baby and then she called and was like, yeah, let me speak to Octavia. Yeah, the baby ain't coming back. Maybe did she say that how come Octavia didn't say no take backs? I mean, is there something that could have
Right.
happened to make this a binding contract? I
No,
literally have no idea how this is happening and what's going on. I
no
just
takes.
it's so it's so weird. It's so
It's weird. It's just, yeah. So Keisha got the baby back because she decided, hey, I want to be a mom now. And of course, her mother sucks. Thank you for our audience is this in agreement with us. Nina sucks as a parent. Even her interaction with Kevin, she just sucks. She's terrible. But then again, she got sucked by the brat. So that's a
oh
whole
oh
different
oh
story. We'll get
oh
to we'll
oh.
get we'll get to that later.
Now, I will say, Nina did bring up a great point. And I laughed about it earlier, but Nina did bring up a great point. That's something that probably needs to be expanded on in the show. How is Keisha going to feel if that baby starts looking like the father? What does she need counseling? Is that going to be some emotional trauma she has to deal with? Because she's not very stable right now, to be honest. So yeah, or are they going to do like they do with everything else and just not even deal with that? Now that she got the baby, that's the end of that. Now it's time to move on to Russell Westbrook Jr.
Right.
and date him. So I don't
Calvin,
know.
the next time if this show is renewed, The next time we see that baby, the baby gonna be 20, and we're gonna have no explanation what happened to that baby from being an infant to being 20 years old. That's just how Lena does this. Lena's terrible. But anyway, let's go to the next subject because we got a lot to
Well,
cover.
real quick, Glenda says that in some adoptions you have up to a year to change your mind. Really? Like you can give somebody a baby and in a year they can be like, "No, I'm gonna need that back, homeboy. I'm gonna need that back." Really? That's
Right? Nah, I
anyway.
couldn't do
Anyway,
that. Oops, I changed my mind. After a year, I
yeah,
realized of you letting
like
you take care of my child, I want my child back.
that's weird. Anyway,
You better get the heck out my face. Anyway, I sound like Ted cussing right there. Anyway, all right, let's talk about the trap house. All right, Mayor Perry, he needs to focus on bigger and more comprehensive ideas if he's serious about defunding the police. And again, the storyline is still more or less absent from what they introduced in the early season to now. But at least the women who were locked away and forced into sex work at that trap house can finally contemplate a different, safer existence. But as the women made clear, just throwing away those padlocks isn't enough. They need real support, material support in the form of a safe place to live, and help finding jobs and access to mental health care. And so Imani and Trig, they're in over their heads. I mean, the last time I checked, Trig had a master's in selling drugs and shooting people. He did not have a master's in social work. Imani was doing hair. She did not have a license in social work. She was not a social worker, but it's the shy. So in the shy land, you can do anything. And so we see that Imani and Trig, they're trying to help, but there are established mutual aid and community organizations that could probably help them. And so, Calvin, I don't mean to pick on this storyline, but as a person who's worked in human services that's kind of done this type of work, this storyline probably disappoints me the most because there is a major violence prevention model that was started in Chicago that is never mentioned in this show. It's called Ceasefire. As a matter of fact, Baltimore City Safe Street program, it was based on Ceasefire. And so these guys have been doing this work for a long time, but we're to believe that two people who were on the fringes of society are now social workers and they are able to help solve the trauma in a city that is average 60 shootings a day.
sir,
Go ahead.
how dare you use logic to try to explain something in here? What is wrong with you?
I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
you're,
I'm sorry.
you're talking about a program they had in Safe Streets. The Shy has never even gotten COVID, so bruh, they got their own little bubble that they rocking in. But listen, this storyline could have been so great for both of those characters. But let me just say this. I wish I would go into a trap house and save some girls, and they have an attitude and say to me, "Well, this ain't really gonna work. So what am I just gonna be out on the street? Well, would you rather be a sex slave? Like, lady, we can try to figure this out. Like, you mad at me for saving you." And then the dude was supposed to be so hard. He put the gun in little Kevin face and was ready to fight and kill Trig. But as soon as dude, I say, "You giving this up," and then yell at him. Now, dude, I just got shot, and he yelled at him, "You gonna get this up," and then he just gonna get a house up. Like, that's your source of income. You're not even fighting for this. Like, you might as well fight for it. But it's so far fetched because even Imani, who I actually really like as a character, even Imani says it starts crying over this girl that gets killed. And I get it. It's emotional, but you like now you naming the house after her and like she was literally on there for 5 minutes of an episode and there's this huge connection with her and like were the girls even close to her and are the girls even that close to each other? I didn't think there was like a sex slave fraternity. Maybe in that house there was a sex slave sorority that they were, you know, lambda do you, and they was just getting it in there. I don't know, but it's just a far fetched. They could have done so much with this storyline, and they could have done so much with this storyline to talk about sex slaves, or I don't want to keep saying sex slave. They could have
Sex
done so much
workers,
with this
sex
storyline
workers, sex
to
workers.
talk about sex workers.
Yeah,
It was really, and maybe it's just me, but I think they've gone way too far. And just like someone said, one of the girls is now talking about being an expert in drywall, and that may be so, but you know, I don't know a lot about trauma, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that they may not want to stay in that house. Like that house probably brings up and brings back memories that aren't really what they are looking for in their lives. You know, they may be trying to look for a new start, and they seem to really be fighting to stay there or fighting for handouts instead of fighting for their own lives. That's just how it seems to me. So I could be
yeah,
wrong.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm trying to, and I thank you, Don, for letting me know. I stand corrected. Trig has a PhD in gangster lifestyle, and so I I think I understand they were being trafficked, human trafficking. They're being locked in these rooms. They were being abused. I mean, yeah, the whole scene. You're opening these doors and they're looking at you like, "What you want?" Like, huh? Excuse me, did you knock first? That's the impression that I got a couple times.
Basically,
They were like, did you knock first before you took that lockdown to let us know before you didn't know what we was doing in here? And so yeah, it just this is one of those again, these storylines, these plot lines, they're just not making a whole bunch of sense. You got these women who were locked away, being forced into sex, and you ain't talking about no mental health, you ain't talking about no health care,
exactly.
you're not trying to, do all these things that these people need. You're sending Amani, who may have probably been in sex work. That's probably a good guess. And a guy who was in the streets to take care of these people. And yeah, it just, I don't get it. And
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's
just,
it's a little
it's,
weird.
it's weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird. Hey, we're going to liberate you from this house, but we're going to want you to stay here in this house, and y'all just be happy that we liberated you.
yeah. I
That's
just don't.
basically, yeah. I don't
when
get it.
when when the person and when the person that helped lead this is the mayor of the city that has the power and the connections to put you in a new start, to give you a new home to start with, to fund the money to do that. Like, and I don't understand why the instant was, hey, we could give them this house. Like, you
Yeah,
I don't I
dude,
don't know.
dude is just still interested in being a gangster. To me, dude is not a. He's not the mayor. What you got the city. You have all of these resources, but you never see dude to use them. He's just always going to the street to talk to Trey. But anyway, and then last year, that's another thing about this evolution of the relationship between Trig and Duda. First, he was trying to kill Duda, and then he was working for Duda, and now him and Duda like Martin Luther King and Andrew Young, like they hanging out, they making policy and whatnot. And so yeah, yeah, the mayor, he a mess. The mayor don't care. I agree with you, Glenda. The mayor don't care. And so let's talk about your boy Kevin. And the West Side is the best side. Kevin goes to the west side of Chicago, and we're introduced to yet another new character with no purpose, with 3 episodes left. Pursuing a new young friend, Lene, since his disastrous breakup with Gemma, Kevin makes a trip to what I can only describe, Calvin, as a underground video arcade with lake trout. You can get lake trout
Was that
at
Lake
this.
Trout? I was wondering what that
I don't know what
was.
it was. Was it? I don't know
It,
what it was, but you can get fried
yeah,
fish
I
there.
don't think it was Lake Trout.
I don't know what it was. It looked like an after hours lounge on the west side for teens, but what do you make of Kevin's West Side adventure? Why do we have this storyline with 3 episodes left in the season and a brand new character?
Well, first, let me say I have been to a place like house with video games. I actually took my son some years ago in the video games, and they had one right near Milford Station, and it looked just like that. You go into the warehouse, and it's dark, and they have different screens with different video games. They have the virtual reality, so that is a real thing, and it's popping. Like, I had a great time in there. Um, I'm going to tell you now, as crazy as Kevin's storyline seems, it's actually a very good storyline in my opinion. And this is what I thought about it. Remember when his mother jumped on him real quick, like she's going through her own thing, but she like, so what, you mad that your best friend with your girl? Like, that was uncalled for, but whatever. She's
Mother
dealing with
hater.
her own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then he's still supposed to be out on his own, and Dre is still approving of that. So Kevin goes place, and the girl that he thinks he likes now is attracted to the guy with the blue hair. So Kevin goes and puts his blue hair. This is the one time where I can actually see, or I actually thought I saw, that Kevin's lack of having a dominant, strong male father figure in his life actually showed. Um, Kevin's heartbreak has really hurt his self esteem. Everything Kevin's gone through, he has nobody strong to really turn to. Granted, Dre is in there. Dre is showing some authority, and she tries to take him under his wing, and she tries to, help him out and give him some freedoms. But it's very true that you don't know what a young man goes through unless you're a young man that has gone through it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the father has to be living with him, but he needs that male role model in his life. And Kevin doesn't have a strong male role model in his life to see how you should act, or someone to talk to him about girls. And yeah, you're going to have plenty of girls. If this happens, then you just got to move on. Now he's trying to do whatever he's going to do to please a woman. So him dyeing his hair blue wasn't something that he wanted to do. He saw that that girl liked that guy that dyed his hair blue, so he wants to do that. So I actually think this storyline is probably pretty good. You know what? I forgot Tanitra. Tanitra's right. She said it was Brandon. Brandon was there for Kevin, and Kevin was actually on the straight now. I think Brandon was the one that convinced
Right.
him to go to that private school. So yeah, that's right. So now Brandon is gone. Kevin doesn't have that anymore. So he's kind of, you know, trying to make his own way, feeling for his own way. And Dre thinks she's doing good for him by giving the freedom and standing up to his mother for him, but she's not really helping him. And it's no fault of her own, but she probably just doesn't know how to help him.
Right. And Emmett was there for a minute too. Emmett
He
was
was, he
kind of like
was.
a mentor to him as well. And so, yeah, I, I just, yeah, these new characters so late in the show, just like, the dude at the job with Keisha. We're not getting any background. We're not getting anything that's solid. So they're going to fall in love and have a relationship in 3 episodes. Well, we kind of already saw the prep for next week's episode. It looks like something happens between Kevin and Gemma, but yeah, I understand. I think it's relatable in terms of he's hurt and he's looking for love. He's looking for comfort. He's not getting it from his mom. He's not getting it from his friends. His best friend lets him down. And so, yeah, he's willing to do whatever he needs to do to try to latch on to something. He's definitely trying to force his way into, like, I'm not going to be forced into the friend zone. She tried to friend zone him. And he like, you ain't gonna put me in the friend zone. Let me get this blue hair. And so, to all you ladies out there, stop friend zoning people, because it's a hard place to get out of the friend. Only special people get out of the friend zone.
It's really weird that he changes his hair because um I've read this, and it's actually also been my experience that when women have heartbreak and really want to change their life, the first
They
thing
changed their
women
hair
do
color.
is change their hair. Not just color, style. They go drastic with their hair. So it's really crazy that energy that Kevin is getting with that changing his hair to blue.
Yeah, thank you, Deshaun. The friend zone is a terrible place. It's a terrible place. You know, there's a lot of people dead
Actually,
in
it's
there.
actually it's not that bad of a place if you use it to your advantage,
Yeah, that's
because
what I'm saying. You
all
got to be
women
special to get
have
out.
other friends. Women have other friends, so be the friend zone because they can be your bridge to the chicks. I got a whole course on this. We talk
Yeah,
about this
okay.
another day.
We'll talk about friend zone later. All right, all right, all right. Okay. And so let's talk a little bit of some loose ends. Let's talk about this sex party. Um, you know, the plot line of Emmett and Tiff deciding to open their marriage and had to me it's kind of run aground. It's just it's gone as far as it could go. It just comes off fake. You know, they're supposed to go to this sex party and they don't have no sex. They don't. What? To me, this whole thing, I understand the freakiness of it. It was an attention grabber. Ooh, that's the new thing. Let's have an open relationship. Let's explore this for a character. But again, the Shy has not fully developed this. This could have probably been a good storyline if they tried to develop it and talk about the emotional piece of it. To me, whenever they talk about this open relationship, it's all about sex. It's all about screwing. But for a lot of people, open marriage is more than just, or open relationships is more than just sex. But we're not getting that from these two characters. It's all about, who do you want to do? And like when she said she had to go to this party, oh, you got to go to it for Dante. It always goes back to screwing. What do you think about this storyline?
Well, actually, I'm actually thinking it is actually showing a deeper relationship than sex for them, even though the theme is always sex. If you think about it, Emmett was enamored and walking around and looking at stuff and like, can I watch? And they're like, well, cisgender men don't get to request anything, but when at the end when they talked to Emmett, it was always about if my baby can do this, if she wants to do this. Like Emmett wasn't trying to make a move unless trying to make that move with him. So even though the overwhelming theme is sex, when you dig deep down into it, Emmett is really just into Tiff. And whatever she wants to do, he's trying to do it. Because I'm
All right,
sure
Calvin, let me
Emmett could
say
have.
this to you. Let me say this
Go
to you.
ahead.
All right, I agree with that. But it seems like the character is only doing it because Tiff wants to do it. It's reactionary. This is not what he wants to do. If she
True,
said
true.
tomorrow, I just no more open relationship, he's down. And so that to me, that's why this seems this un, since it's uneven. I wish they would explore it because it's obvious that in the character development, he does not want to be in this. Yeah, he got a freaky side, but he want to be with one person, and he's scared to
I
say
get that.
that because yeah. Okay, all right, go ahead.
And you're right about that, but Emmett also realizes, maybe I need to start making up for all the shit that I've done in the past. So whatever Tiff wants right now, I'm gonna roll with whatever Tiff. We're in season 4. Emmett had 3 seasons of being an absolute, as you would call him, a fuck boy, absolute number one fuck boy for 3 seasons. So he can take one season, to kind of be whatever Tiff wants. Now, Tiff is the freaky one. It's Tiff that's the freaky one in these sex parties, but Tiff also separates business from pleasure because Tiff was there to make that money. She was interested in seeing what going on. But like she said, maybe next time, maybe next time. I think their relationship is actually a lot stronger than what we give them credit for. Even though I agree with Emmett is in a situation that he doesn't want to be in and he's dealing with it right now. But I do think they have a really strong relationship right now, or at least strong love for one another
Right.
right now.
It's crazy because if you think back to the opening episode of the show, we saw these scenarios of each of the major characters going through something. So we did see Kevin catching Gemma and Jake, but we haven't seen what happened with Emmett. Emmett looked like he was in some distress, like he about to pass out or have a heart attack. And we see in the next episode, he's going to be saying something about his relationship. So they got 3 episodes to see what happened with this whole let's open up our
Well,
relationship.
and if you remember, that distress that Emmett has was about his mom having cancer. That was
Right.
that. So
Yeah.
they did show that, but yeah.
Yeah. I want to see what happens with this because I'm not sure. It's an open relationship where only one person wants an open relationship, and I'll go along with you to make you happy.
And from my understanding, Chicago, and if anybody knows Chicago, let me know. But from
Yeah, my Chicago
my
peeps ain't on here
understanding,
tonight.
Chicago is kind of, I don't want to say famous, but Chicago has some sex party. I think there's supposedly a theater somewhere in Chicago where they have some sex parties that get rocking off in there. I from what I've heard over the years, clearly I've never been there, but from what I've heard over the years.
Yeah. I remember when back in the day, I ain't gonna lie, this wasn't no sex party. But when you had your girl and your boy had her girl, y'all had a couple people, y'all had somebody's parents was gone for the weekend. That wasn't no sex party. Y'all wasn't switching up. But I guess that was the precursor for the sex party because you trying to get your groove on. Anyway, all right, let's talk about your boy Papa and Jake and Gemma. So it's obvious that Papa he's missing his girl Maisha. But I like the way that he held Jake accountable for his messiness. He basically was like, "Yo, you been real messy. Kevin was here for you, even though Jake tried to diss him, say he was corny. But that was his boy. He held him down. And then we see Jake and Gemma. They in love. They smoking blunts. They having fun. Where is the supervision? Where's her father? Her father was so hard on Kevin. Maybe he in Tokyo at the Olympic Games because he's trying to get the Olympic Games to Chicago. But where are the parents, Calvin? Are we in an alternative universe where their parents have just disappeared?
Difference is Kevin was at her house. She's at Jake's house. And Jake's supervision is little to none. So
None.
yeah, they can Frederick Douglass can get there and smoke weed all day long. She could definitely. I saw somebody said the new girl looks better than Frederick Douglass. So I
Yeah, I
mean,
saw that too.
that's up for debate. They're children. I'm not judging them. But yeah, none of these kids have supervision. And you're right. Papa is dealing with his own thing, but he did have the time to tell Jake, "Yo, you being real messy with your boy." And Jake's only retort is that Kevin was a cornball. And that's not a retort. That is just basically trying to make an excuse because we
Right.
all have a corny homeboy. If you don't have a corny homeboy, that means you're the corny homeboy. Just know that. But your friends are still gonna like you no matter what. They're gonna talk about you. They're gonna talk about you behind your back every now and then, but then they'll bring
Right.
it to your face, especially when y'all drinking. They'll tell you your ass is corny. But
Right.
yeah, Jake the Snake and Frederick and Douglass, I absolutely am disappointed in their characters. I'm really disappointed in Jake, how Jake has handled his buddy, his ride or
Right.
die. Kevin has always been there for him. I'm really
Kevin.
disappointed in that.
Kevin been there for him when his locks was baby locks, and so they've been together for a while, a long while. And yeah, this I want to see how this plays out next week because this looks like this is going to be a focus of the next episode of some
It
possible
does.
trying to reunite and all these things. And so I want to see what happens.
And I think we had some foreshadow. We even said to him, yeah, just don't make sure she breaks your heart. And Jake is actually going all out for this little dance to
Right.
dance him by the tea. Jake is that he said he would never fall. You know, at all. Like he's
Right.
all for her and foreshadow and go back to it because it definitely looks like next week them two, as you mentioned, and as we saw in the previews. Growing up, we all they always come back. Whether they come back, they always come back. When you're that young in relationships, you always go like you always go back. It happens,
Right.
but you
Right.
always go back. Always.
All right. All right. All right. The last one we're gonna talk about is Nina, your girl Nina. Nina been, having the flashbacks of the brat and her after, having all of those all of that brown liquor and stuff. And she's just feeling guilty. And as a matter of fact, she looking so guilty that your boy Emmett, like, you did something dirty. You did something you weren't supposed to do. I could tell. And if you taking advice from Emmett about what you should do, I question that. But anyway, nonetheless, she's taking advice. She's so guilty. She's taking advice from Emmett, America's fuckboy, about what she should do in her marriage. And so she confesses her infidelity to Dre. And should she have just kept her mouth closed, or, just try to.
I'm so disappointed in Nina. She could have gotten away with this. Nina,
Yes.
shut the
Right.
fuck up. What are you doing?
Nobody knows. Right.
You did not have to bring this information up. Now, let me say, I'm not a proponent of cheating. You should not cheat. If you cheat, it's over. You should be gone. You should be axed. But if you do cheat and you're getting away with it, why the fuck are you sabotaging yourself? Nina, not only are you a horrible parent, not only are you a horrible wife, but you're a horrible cheater. You're just horrible all around. What is wrong with you, Nina? Like, why would you? First of all, why would you let her know that you thought they were cheating? That's number one. She didn't even need to know that. Number two, then you're gonna admit it to her. Now you got to admit it to. What are you doing, Nina? Nina, it's something wrong with her ass. It's literally something wrong with Nina. It's literally something wrong with Nina.
Yeah. Nina, just shush, Nina, Nina. Just go to therapy. Go take a walk or something. Go running with Keisha. Let Keisha get you to the track. But yeah, you out here confessing, and Dre's been the model spouse. Dre has been there. As much as beef if we gave Dre last year and some of this season, Dre has actually kind of been like a stand-up character, and she's been there with Kevin through all these things, being there for Keisha. She's kind of really taken this role of being an active parent of children that are not even hers, while Nina sits and hates on the kids and drinks wine and then has to say, "Hey, I cheated on you." Wow.
What are you
Wow.
doing?
Like,
Why?
so
Why,
do you
Nina?
do they ask the question, like, did they put a condom on the strap? Do you ask that question?
Nope, nope, nope. I'm not. Hey, I'm not. For the record, I'm not engaging in this conversation with Garland. Nope, nope.
Was it safe? Was it safe sex? Did you wash the strap? I want you to bring that home.
The thoughts of Garland are not necessarily the thoughts of all the participants in all things black with Garland and Calvin. I'm not engaging in that conversation.
I'm just curious, man. I'm just curious. Anyway, all right. This starting with this episode, we've decided we're going to add a little special commentary on the end of our discussions about the show, about like a topic that's going on out here today. And so,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Sorry to
go ahead.
stop you, Garland. Real quick. Just a couple more thoughts about the Shy. Then we jump
Okay,
into
I'm
it.
sorry.
Sorry to stop you. When did the dude that was a hitman for Reg that was shooting and beating up everybody? When did he become a mentor? Like, what?
Calvin,
You
he
know,
has
he saw
social
the
work. That they all social workers now.
when did he become a mentor? And this direction that they're going with this social work thing and with this instead of calling now and call us. So at first you think that they were advocating for defunding the police in real life, but now what is it that they're doing? Because it sounds like with the way that they're talking to one another about it, that they're not advocating for it. Because see, Trig was like, "Well, we're really not going to call the police for anything because Trig literally just let somebody shoot somebody." Now the guy he can claim self defense because if you watch it, it was self defense, but
Right.
uh, yeah, I'm not quite sure where they're going with it. And I think you mentioned you were disappointed in the whole storyline, but they seem to be advocating for the police as opposed to against the police. I'm not quite sure what they're
That's one
doing
of
here.
the things, Calvin. I think also I'm kind of disappointed is because it's a nuanced conversation with a lot of different sides. Some people, yes, they want the police out of their communities, and it's legitimate. Maybe we can spend that money on education and
Mhm.
recreation and parks and other things. But then there are people who look at the police as protection, as it's vital to have a police presence in some of these communities to remove some of the bad element out of the neighborhood. And so there's these two sides of the coin. Not all black people want to defund the police, and so I wish they would spend more time in that conversation. They kind of skated on it in the episode when the dialogue between Duda and Trig, when they were talking about this, he's kind of like talking about, well, hey, people want the police, but then some people don't want the police. Yeah, this is a very nuanced conversation that you have to spend time on. It's just not as easy as saying I'm going to defund the police and that's it. And that's basically what we got this season is, okay, I'm defunding the police, and all right, let's go on to the next story. Like,
And I think they're
okay,
actually
what
doing
does
it
that
a
mean?
disservice. Yeah, I think they're doing it a disservice also because for anyone that doesn't know, defunding the police sounds like you don't want the police in the neighborhoods anymore,
Exactly.
and that's not what it is. Defunding the police means that we don't want the police coming out on maybe calls that could be mental health calls or maybe
Right.
calls that professional social workers you. When it comes to crime and things, that's what we want the police for. So we can take some of that money away from the police and provide it to professionals to do this. So, but with their thing is they're taking all the responsibility away from the police. So doing
Right.
the and I will record. I think the whole phrase defunding the police it's just a bad phrase because it doesn't really talk about what it does and it makes it sound like you just don't want the police around anymore and that's actually not what it is. But like you said, they're not really diving. It is a nuanced conversation. It's actually a conversation that they would have to come up with ideas for because there's nothing that you could base it on. You don't
Right.
have anything past history that you could base. It's really confusing. But anyway, that was all I wanted to say. Sorry about that.
And let me say this in closing, they probably could have took that storyline and made this the storyline for the entire season. And they could have built around this idea of defunding the police and its impact on each of these characters. But, instead we get 20 storylines that are all over the place instead of like one well thought out storyline to carry us through. So, all right, that's my 2 cents. Did you have anything else?
Nope, that was it. That was it.
All right. All right. So we're going to close talking about something that's very popular right now. This young lady is Shakari Richardson, or better known as Marijuana Luthina King Jr. Uh,
Doing it. Not doing it.
yes, Marijuana Luthina King Jr., better known as Shakari Richardson. Now, Shakari, if you don't know, unless you've been out of the country for the last month or so, she's an American track and field sprinter who competes in the 100 and 200 meters. And she rose to fame at LSU, breaking the 100-meter record at the NCAA championship, which made her one of the 10 fastest women in history at the age of 19. And in the spring of this year, she improved her personal best, becoming the sixth fastest woman of all time and the fourth fastest American woman in history. So most of us are familiar with Sha'Carri when she qualified for the 2020 Summer Olympics after winning the women's 100-meter dash in 10.86 seconds in the U.S. Olympic trials. With her bright hair, her long nails, her bushy eyelashes, and open sexuality, she is a bisexual. She became a overnight sensation, particularly in the black community that embraced her black girl magic. But it was short lived, y'all. On July 1st, it was reported that Sha'Carri had tested positive for THC, which is the main psychiatric component found in cannabis, following her 100-meter final at the U.S. trials, which invalidated her results and makes her ineligible to compete in the 100-meter race at the Olympics. Now, Sha'Carri, she stepped out in front of this and she admitted to her error, which is she said she did this because she learned about her mother's death, and that information rocked her so hard she decided to use marijuana to cope with this news. So a lot of people do that, use drugs to kind of cope with bad situations. So, of course, this has led people, mainly black people, to cite racism and sexism as reasons for why she was banned from the competition and how white males were exonerated for similar acts. A lot of people talking about Michael Phelps and some other snowboarder, but from researchers showed that did not happen to them. There was never no incidences of them doing this before the Olympics. This was after the Olympics. And so after successfully completing a counseling program, she accepted a 1-month period of ineligibility that began on June the 28th. And as a result, the United States decided to leave her off of the Olympic team because she could have ran in the relays. So she's not going to Tokyo, which will result in her losing millions of dollars in endorsements and income. And so, should Sha'Carri have a chance to participate, and should black people boycott the Olympics? You want me to start?
Oh, it's up. Yeah, yeah. You can go ahead. You can go ahead. I'll end up.
Okay. Now, I believe that Sha'Carri, I'm glad that she took responsibility for her actions. And a lot of times when people are in pain, when they are grieving, they do things that they probably would never do if they were in a right mind. And so I understand that. She was trying to cope with something that was very painful. But rules are rules. And as a Olympic level athlete, you know you're going to be tested. You know you're going to be tested after every race. And so it almost presents like she was maybe self-sabotaging herself, because you had to know that if you ingested THC within a certain parameter of your race and that you would be tested, you had to know that you were going to come back with positive piss. You're going to come back with dirty piss. You riding dirty. You running dirty. And so I feel sorry for her in the sense that, yeah, there's some serious things going on with young sis, and she needs some support and help, and I hope she's getting it during this time. But a lot of times, even in our grief, we have to realize that, our choices have consequences. Eventually, if maybe it helped you get through, but maybe the day later or the days later, when you look back or that thing comes back to you, you're going to realize, like, man, I don't know why I ever decided to do that, because it's going to come back to haunt me. I don't think black people should boycott the Olympics. So I think that, in this case, this is a young lady. She took responsibility for her actions, and she's not fighting it. And I think we should be supportive of the other athletes that are going to participate, because they've worked these 4 years or these several years to get to this point, to be on this stage. And they very well should get that opportunity to flourish and to be champions that they deserve to be. What do you think, Calvin?
Yeah, absolutely. But just to clear something up, a lot of people, as you mentioned, with Michael Phelps, a lot of people said that he didn't get punished. He actually did get punished. He didn't get punished by the
Right.
Olympics because it wasn't during that time. But Michael
Wasn't during
Phelps
that time.
did have to go to court. He lost some sponsors. He did have to put out PSAs, so he did get punished for what he was doing. When it comes to Sha'Carri, there are. If you look at someone like Rosa Parks was a willing participant in going against the rules. Shikari is an unwilling participant, but it's always going to take someone to be that person to change the rules, because the issue is it's not the USA that's keeping her out. It's the International Olympic Committee that's keeping her out, because what she did was legal in America, and Americans even they even admitted that, hey, it's legal here, but we have to follow the rules of the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. So they're the ones that have suspended her, and then the USA, rightfully so, did not decide to put her on the relay team, because the relay team is, what if she drops the stick? Oh, well, she shouldn't have been there. You know what I mean? It's a whole lot of pressure on her. But she has so many more years to come. This is just, and let's say she's just lost endorsements for now. I don't want to say that she's lost millions forever, because she can come back a lot stronger. And if she's the martyr to change the rules, that's going to really solidify her legacy. Rules are, should we boycott? I mean, you have a gymnastics team that is full of young black women. Simone Biles is probably, and she even wears the goat stickers on it. She is probably, she is not probably, she is the greatest gymnastics ever, ever, ever. So many black people that we can support if you're wanting to boycott because a black woman has been left off the team. The runners that are on there, they're still black, just not
Right.
Shikari. They're still black, so we need to support her. And completely understand that how we feel about this country right now. But this is the dream, as you mentioned. This is the dream of a lot of these young men and women that they're going for gold, and they need your support, and we need to support them. Shikari made, with great power comes great responsibility, and no matter what, she broke the rules that were in place. Does it suck? Yes. Is it the right thing to do? Yes. Can she come back from it? Yes. And we just hope that she learns from this and moves on, and we can try to cry racism and everything, but a lot of times you can't help people that don't help themselves, and it's good for her that she did fess up to it and admit it, and now we should just be moving on and trying to help her. It's the people around her that are really at fault, because if you think about it, anyone that has your best interest at heart would literally look at you and be like, what the hell are you doing? Aren't you getting ready to go to the Olympics? You can't,
Right.
you can't do this. So it's the people around her that really need to be held at fault.
Right. You're about to make FloJo, Bruce Jenner type money. If you already blowing up and you get on this national, this worldwide stage, the impact that you're about to have is mega. And yeah, just in close, I'm glad she got out in front of it. She took responsibility for it. She didn't try to, blame, oh, the testing's faulty, or I ate something and I didn't know it was in there. No, she owned it, and I think that's the first step to healing is acknowledgement. Acknowledge that there's an issue and try to go forward. And so I
Yep.
wish her the best in that recovery. Like you said, she's only 21, so hopefully the next 4-year cycle that comes around, she'll be right in that
And it's
cycle,
actually,
and she'll get
remember,
there.
it's actually 3 years. It's actually
Yeah,
three
that's right,
years.
because we missed. Yeah,
Yeah, it was last year that they were supposed to go, so they missed that because of COVID. So it's actually 3 years.
right.
So she'll be fine. She'll be fine.
Yeah,
It sucks,
yeah,
but she'll be fine. I don't think we really need to be in an uproar. So she'll be fine. Um,
yeah.
Someone said it breaks my heart that she has to learn this way. I think it breaks all of our hearts that she has to learn this way. But as long as there's no really real underlying issue, man, not maybe, she will come back from this and be better and stronger, because now she has a lot to prove, not to just herself, but the entire world. She's going to prove why she should have been there, because they could have put her on the relay, but they decided not to, and I don't think that's a bad decision. I think that she has to own up. She has to suffer these
Mm.
consequences. But anyway, that is it for us. Once again, this is All Things Black with Garland and Calvin. I'm Calvin, Garland. I hope let me hurry up and talk. I hope everyone had a good time.
Before we go, I want to say thank you to everybody that has, been giving me words of encouragement. I lost my aunt last week. Woman very important in my life, was like a second mom to me. Come from a small family, and my aunt was very influential in my life, and this was a blessing to me, my family, to the larger world. And so we haven't made any final arrangements yet, but if you believe in prayer, or even if you don't, positive thoughts, whatever you go to, just keep us in your thoughts and your prayers. And just thank you for everybody that's been offering some encouragement and all. And I'm waiting to find out when the arrangements are, because I am ready to defend the belt. And so, as soon as I know what the arrangements are, I don't want them to conflict with one of our regular days. Then you're going to be hearing some news within the next couple of days, because I'm hoping that arrangements will be made before the end of the week. And so, I just wanted to bring the belt out. I still got it. It's still shining. It's still in possession of the champ. So I'm a do me. I'm gonna do what I do. You know.
So 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 what am I supposed to do with that? How am I supposed to come behind that? You know what? This is All Things Black with Garland and Calvin. We thank everybody for joining us. We hope you all had a good time. Hey, Garland, you definitely get prayers and positive thoughts from me and
Thank
mine.
you,
So
bro. Thank you. Calvin's been there.
for you and
Calvin's
your
offered some
family.
great words. And so yeah, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you to everybody.
Hey, thank you everybody for joining us. We will catch you all next week. All right, Garland, have a good one. You ain't got to keep waving it around because you about to lose it soon, bro.